Good evening, Vegas sports fans, and Happy New Year. I'm Rob Hefner, aka Vegas Rob, along with my co host, Ken the Bat Fry Fry. Happy New Year, buddy. How's it going?
Not too bad, brother. How about you?
Not bad, not bad at all. Off to a good start.
We got a new
Um,
opener there. We got a new opening to the Las Vegas sports scene. Yeah, I
abs-
don't know.
Yep, absolutely. That we did a nice job in putting that together. It looks very fresh, looks very new and very awesome. We're gonna be going down a new road here in 2023. There's gonna be some new content that's gonna be coming to the network. We're gonna branch out a little bit, even on our own show. Start covering, more of the Vegas sports scene. So to start things off, I think we need to touch on the Damar, Hamlin, situation and what occurred last Monday night. Certainly, our thoughts and prayers are with him for sure. It's not something you want to see, when you're watching any sort of sporting event on any level. And I was, thinking back on this during my time watching, professional sports. Well, any sports at any level. I don't know. I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that.
No, I mean the closest that I could think of would be when Owen Hart died in WW. I don't know if it was F or E, but you didn't see what you saw there. Like it was, it wasn't up close. I mean, the fans did and everybody in person, but you're watching the TV there, and I tell you, Rob, I fell asleep. I was taking a nap before work. I woke up as a little bit before or a little bit after 9, and I seen the ambulance on the field. I heard the announcers talking uh, about Damar Hamlin receiving CPR. It's like, what in the hell happened? So I had to rewind the the video, the show, the game, and to see what happened. I was expecting some sort of crazy like a hit, but it was just a normal hit at a very, very bad time. I mean, like a one in like trillion shot. You know what I mean? Like it's just like insane. Like it had to happen that perfect time. Joe Sullivan said, "Thank God Hamlin is doing better." Absolutely. And you know what, Rob? A while back we did a top 10 list. I don't know if we did it on this show, if it was, I think it was this show. All time favorite, I think, football movies. And one of the movies I brought up, one of my favorite all time movies, is Heaven Can Wait. That movie's the football player gets a starting job as a Los Angeles Rams starting quarterback. He ends up getting hit by a car, and an angel pulls his soul up to heaven too quick because he thought he wasn't going to make it. He was just saving the guy some pain and agony. Well, it turns out he would have survived and he would have been fine with some bumps and bruises. So they had to get him another body until they could find him a more athletic body. But I guess at the end of the movie, not to ruin it for anybody, it's been out there since like 1980. But at the end of the movie, the quarterback that took over for the Rams in the Super Bowl ended up dying on the field. And that was the new body that the main character was able to take over. But it's just insane to see something like that play out. It's almost like something out of Hollywood.
Right. And it just goes to prove that anything can happen to anybody at any time. So we have to not take things for granted. I mean, this kid, he's only 24. He's only 24 years old, and I caught your coverage of it the other day on your baseball show. You had mentioned it, and I have to agree with your sentiments on what you said regarding this situation. I don't know how somebody that suffers something like that is ever going to come back and play again. I mean, I would be very surprised if his career was actually able to resume after something like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's. I don't expect him to ever play again. Even if he did, he'd be. I'd imagine he'd be so gun shy, so like terrified that it'd happen again. Evan Laurel says absolutely terrible. Paul Spencer says we will be posting a link on our page, the Out of the Box page, for Hamlin's charity, Chasing M's Foundation, as we will be donating $200 first place prize from our fantasy football league to the charity Chasing M's Foundation. Hashtag Chasing M's Foundation. So that was really awesome by the winner of our fantasy football league to donate the winnings to the charity. We all agreed on that here at Out of the Box Sports. A great cause, and it's gonna help some people out.
Yeah, absolutely, great cause, and I'm glad that we're doing that here. At Out of the Box Sports. Talking about career-ending, injuries. I mean, I've been to enough football games over the years, both professional and collegiate, with going out to Penn State, and I think the worst pro injury that I ever saw was in Veterans Stadium, the hit by Tim Houck that ended Michael Irvin's career. And then at Penn State versus Miami in 2001, the night that a young man by the name of Adam Telefero was hit and paralyzed, as a result of that hit. He never played, Telefero, he never played football again, but he ended up, being able to rehabilitate himself and, be able to, walk and function and all that stuff. And I believe last I heard, regarding him, he actually did go to school and ended up becoming a lawyer. So, there are things that these guys can do, outside of football, that's for sure. And honestly, when I sat there and watched that, for me, football at that point was secondary. I was more concerned about his health and his overall, welfare. It makes you realize that football is just a game, and there's more important things in life than football or any sport for that matter. They're all people. They're all people at the end of the day. So yeah, definitely prayers for him. And it's great to see that he is making progress. And I read somewhere today that he was actually able to FaceTime and stuff with a lot of people. So he is bouncing back. So continued prayers for him, and we wish him nothing but the best here at Out of the Box Sports for sure.
And also, don't forget T. Higgins. It seems like he's pretty tore up over, even though he didn't do anything wrong. He made a football move and just the wrong place, the wrong time, basically. And some people getting keyboard muscles and stuff like that, giving him shit about it, which is absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane to think that anybody would think that it's his fault. It's stupid shit.
It was a perfectly clean hit. There was nothing dirty about the play, and he had no intention of hurting him or anybody else. I mean honestly, these people, they'll get behind a keyboard and say anything. Honestly,
I mean, to be honest with you, Rob, I mean, the tackle Damar Hamlin made on T. Higgins, wasn't a very good tackle. He was very tall. He was very upright, which led the shoulder into his chest. If you went for a form tackle where you're supposed to squat, lower your shoulder, and drive through it, none of this probably would have happened. So, I mean, like, how you can blame this on T. Higgins is mind boggling.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's no logical way that you could that you could blame it on him. And I'm actually glad too that the players took a stand with the NFL and said, no, we're in no shape to play this game or resume this game, after something like this. So I was happy to see that, and I was happy that the NFL actually did step in then and suspend the game, and then they ended up canceling it, which I was actually kind of surprised that they canceled it. I thought maybe at some point they would have resumed it, because of playoff implications and other things, to that nature. But the main thing is for Hamlin to be okay. And while we're on these sad topics, let's get into the Peyton Hillis situation and the update regarding him. Peyton Hillis is in critical condition after he rescued his kids basically from the Atlantic Ocean, near Pensacola, Florida, in the Gulf of Mexico. Those tides out there in the ocean can be pretty nasty. It can get nasty at times.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to think where we're at now. It's January. It's hard to think of anybody swimming anywhere, but it's still warm enough down there where you're in the ocean, you're in the water, and it just takes 1 minute. That's all it takes, a blink of an eye, and all of a sudden everything's turned upside down. His kids. I don't know the exact story, exactly what happened. I was reading up on it. I didn't see it said his kids were caught in a riptide or his kids were just out too far or what it was. But yeah, he had to go out there, save him. And there was another adult also that had to be life flighted. I did not see any condition on them. But yeah, Peyton's, they said he's in critical condition, but they said he's doing well. He's having some lung issue, some kidney issue, and he's still unconscious. But it seems like they're pretty optimistic.
Right. Yeah, it was because of a riptide. He rescued them, basically from that. And then I had just read something, before the show. I believe it was his uncle that had come out and said, that he was having breathing issues and kidney issues. He's still listed in critical condition, but he is making improvements. So there again, we pray for him, and we pray for him and his family, as well during this difficult time.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Peyton Hillis is, he was a running back for Cleveland to begin with. He played for a few different teams like the New York Giants and stuff like that, but he was made his name with Cleveland. He had a couple decent years, and he made the cover of, I believe it was a 2012 Madden game. And then kind of after that, the whole Madden curse thing took over, and his career was really never the same after that.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a victim of the Madden curse, for sure. And in addition to the Cleveland Browns, he also played for the Denver Broncos, Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then the New York Giants. So his career stretched from 2008 through 2014.
Yeah, so I think his best years were like 10, 11, and 12, or was like 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there. He had some pretty good years running the ball and receiving it. So yeah, I remember when he played, a big bruising type running back, but was pretty nimble and was able to catch well. Paul Spencer says, hit me hard. Since one of his players was hit unconscious and in the ICU for a week earlier this year, It hit homes. Hashtag prayers for Hamlin. Hashtag prayers for Higgins.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and I can, I can definitely understand that, Paul, and I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I have nieces that play, sports, as Ken knows, and of course, Ken himself is a coach and has coached youth sports for years, and with him actually playing too, he understands he understands the magnitude of all this stuff, that can potentially happen.
Yeah, anything like like I said to a couple of guys at work. I said, my daughter's playing sports. I said, basketball right now. Who's to say where like it's just a weird something weird happens? She takes a shoulder to the chest, or she gets knocked backwards, or someone hits her head, or it's just you just never know. It's a lot of stuff you take for granted, and it's scary. Like when Kobe was in that helicopter accident, and he died with his daughter. He was taking her to a travel basketball tournament. I mean, that could be me. I take my daughter all sorts of travel stuff on weekends for tournaments or just games in particular. Now, granted, I'm not flying in the fog with a helicopter, but I tell you what, we drive the highways and stuff like that through some sketchy weather and stuff like that. It just, you never know. I can relate to these stories, and it could be a little bit scary as a parent. It's like granted, like the chances are like I said, like 1 in a trillion, but there's a chance.
Yeah, you drive all over Pennsylvania and multiple different states. I see on Facebook, all the traveling that you guys do, and even with the Kobe Bryant thing, I will admit here on air tonight that when Kobe Bryant was killed in that helicopter crash, that hit me really hard because I grew up watching a guy like Kobe. So, and the Philadelphia connection, really hit me hard. And I was going through my own stuff at that time, and I just couldn't believe it. I was shocked. I mean, I sat there, cried like a baby. I had to turn the news off. I couldn't watch it anymore. So, yeah, we get attached to these, to these sports and these athletes. I know with us doing, these shows, you and I really are getting into this, stuff, covering this stuff in depth. And you just have to sit there when stuff like this happens, and you just say, wow. So yeah, I mean, definitely prayers for, Peyton Hillis, and, prayers for any athlete that steps out there on any kind of a field, a court, to partake in a sport. Player safety, definitely needs to be a priority on all levels of sports, and we need to make sure that that is being practiced. So I'm pretty good on these topics. Unless you had anything more to add, we can get into our Raiders.
All right, before we get into that, Rob, let me catch up on the comments here, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
We have Evan Loro checking in. What's up, brother? Big Blue Power Hour, Evan Loro.
What's up, Big Ev?
Joe Sullivan from the Sully Squad and our college football frenzy. Raiders are terrible.
That's an understatement. True statement there, Joe.
Evan corroborates the evidence. Absolutely terrible. Thank you, Evan. So now we're all cut up. Now we can get back. We can get into this hot mess we call our Raiders.
You got that. You got that right, Kenny. We're not going to be popping any champagne bottles this year, especially not for the Raiders.
No, it was embarrassing this year. I'll tell you that.
It wasn't anything that we had expected. going into the season, we thought it was going to be a lot better than it actually was. So, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know what to say, and I'm kind of sick of saying the phrase. There's always next year. It seems like we've been saying that a lot lately.
Oh, I've been saying it since 2003. So
right,
when the Raiders lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay, and we came into the season, really optimistic, and I think the biggest bummer was some of these games that we lost. Being ahead by double-digit points, it's so frustrating, and just to see that the team Derek Carr being tore down now, and what's going on with Jacobs, and our secondary absolutely regressing, and every week they seem to get worse and worse. No pass rush. It's just what in the hell? This is year in and year out, Rob. What in the hell is going on out there?
It's been awful. It's been really difficult. Been really difficult to watch, and I mean, honestly, going into the game against the 49ers, I didn't have very high expectations, and I don't think you did either going into it. And we really didn't know what to expect from Stidham. I mean, he was able to get some things going early in the game. Started the game off with a 24-yard touchdown to Darren Waller, and was able to keep us in opportunities where the offense, they were able to do some great things. I mean, on the plus side, the Raiders did manage to rush and pass for a total of 500 yards offensively against a very good 49ers team. But then, on the downfall offensively, Stidham did have two interceptions on the day.
Yeah, and it seemed like he was kind of forcing the ball a little bit with those interceptions. But overall, I was really impressed. The 49ers, number one defense, super hot coming in. It seemed like the Raiders kind of exposed them a little bit in their secondary. But the one thing that I really loved what Stidham did, which I've been saying almost all season that Derek has not been doing, is running the ball. Instead of standing back there and getting hit, the pockets collapsing, instead of going forward, looking for a lane, just getting the hell out of there and get some positive yardage out of it, Derek wouldn't do it. He'd just stay back there and get hit, or he'd throw it away, or just check down really quick. And Stidham in that game had 7 carries for 34 yards, which was huge because a couple of them were first downs. And, a couple of them got him out of some sticky situations. So his rushing was huge in that game. Josh Jacobs, he had 69 yards rushing on 17 carries for a touchdown. And Devontae Adams was stellar. I mean, he had some amazing catches. But again, our defense was an absolute dumpster fire. It just, we put up 500 yards in the number one defense. You think we'd win that fucking game? No.
Yeah, I agree. But then our lovely dumpster fire of a defense gives up 454 total fucking yards defensively, and that's number one for me. That's number one.
We each got one in the bucket here. Yeah. I think Christian McCaffrey was all over us, Rob.
Oh, he was all over our defense like a cheap suit.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. He was just like a one-man wrecking crew. And Brandon Ayuk, he had a really big game also, over 100 yards receiving. Purdy, he looked decent. I didn't think he looked, fantastic, but he got the job done. He was efficient. He got the ball in the end zone a couple times.
Well, against our defense, any quarterback could put on a fucking clinic. I mean, you're right. This defense, especially the secondary, has just been a dumpster fire.
And you know what? With the secondary, Rob, it's year in and year out. Every damn year, since the early 2000s, since our Super Bowl year, the secondary has been so bad. It's been ridiculous. So it's I don't see it changing. I don't know what the deal is. Uh, it has to be blown up and rebuilt. That secondary. That's where Rob, if I'm the GM, if I'm ownership, that's where I'm starting. I'm starting with the secondary. I'm blowing it the hell up, and I'm going from there. Because that defense needs a complete overhaul. Besides, pretty much Max. I mean, Chandler Jones, even though he hasn't played the last couple of weeks because he's hurt, I thought he was really coming on there near the end of the season. And Denzel Perryman played well, but besides those three guys, there's nobody else. You know, the interior of our defense has not been good. Our linebacking core has been less than okay. It hasn't been bad, but I don't think it's less than mid in my opinion. And the secondary has just been a straight up. If there was a grade lower than F, incomplete. The secondary has been incomplete.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Remember, Ken, when we were in high school, they had F, and then they had F1, F2, and F3.
they're an F3 or 4.
I was going to say our defense is an F4.
It's absolutely mind-boggling, and it's a shame because Max had a terrific season, and that's all we have to show for it on the defense. You know, he was the only one week in and week out that showed up.
Mark Davis needs to stop spending $300 on haircuts and invest in a pen and paper and start writing stuff down that they need to improve this team. And Josh McDaniels, they need to get together and have a powwow and start making improvements on this team, because people here are getting disgusted.
Well, I mean, and the one thing that pisses me off as a Raider fan, and I'm sure, I don't know if you caught it or not, but the amount of 49er fans in our home field, in our home stadium, what the fuck is that? We're right. The Raiders. We're the Raiders. This isn't supposed to happen. I mean, good or bad, we've always our house is our house. I don't care if it's Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Year in and year out, we have shit teams, but year in and year out, our fans showed up. The last 2 weeks, they've been gone. They haven't been there.
Well,
and earlier in the season, you couldn't say that. Earlier in the season, it was all Raider fans.
Yeah.
So it's not like, well, it's because it's Las Vegas, it's a vacation spot. No, that's bullshit.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. The last two games, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but even watching the Kansas City game today, you saw a hell of a lot of Kansas City fans in the stands today as well.
Well, and Mark Davis came out and said publicly that he was frustrated by it. Well, no shit, Mark, you dumbass. Look at the product you're putting on the field.
Right.
An offensive line, our quarterback got hit 9 times.
Right.
Against the 49ers. Now, we didn't give up any sacks, and that's a credit to Stidham being able to get out of the pocket, being mobile, and getting rid of the ball. But, I mean, that shouldn't happen. Our offensive line's dog shit. It's been dog shit all season. We've had several games where we give up 0 sacks, but there's been so many games where it's double-digit times that Derek Carr's been getting shellacked back there. I mean, like what the hell?
It's dog shit, and then they're stepping in their own dog shit.
They're tracking it all over the carpet, Rob.
Right.
There ain't no cleaning that shit up. They got to get a new carpet.
Yeah, I mean
that went better.
Mark Davis, he needs a little reality check. The people of Las Vegas, have been spoiled with the success of the Golden Knights. Prior to the Golden Knights being here, the only thing they had from a sports standpoint was UNLV collegiate athletics. They had winning basketball seasons under the late great Jerry Tarkanian. UNLV football hasn't had a winning season since Randall Cunningham was the quarterback. And, the Golden Knights come to town, and, they had that fascinating first season where they, made it to the Stanley Cup. So the expectation here in Las Vegas, and, the way that the Raiders sold it to the people of Las Vegas was, they were going to come in here and contend for a championship.
Well, they do have talent on the team, Rob. They're just missing some huge pieces. That's all it is. They have pieces in place to do it, but the huge pieces that they're missing are so glaring. It's ridiculous.
It's not a total dumpster fire. It's not a whole dumpster fire. But defensively, we're just shit. We've got a lot of offensive weapons, that we've acquired. I think that we can, shore up some things on the offensive line, but they really need to address the defensive side of the ball in the off season, in addition to, sprucing up this offensive line, especially if they're going to try to attract a free agent to come in here, to replace Derek Carr. Do you think a quarterback like Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers is going to want to come in and play for this team if they're putting 400 or 500 yards a game up offensively, and then the defense is putting up, is giving up almost 500 yards? No fucking way. There's no way that a guy like Brady or Rodgers is going to come in here and want to play for this team. An Aaron Rodgers type of guy, a Tom Brady type of guy, that's a situation where they're one player away. You bring in a guy like that to, get you over the hump and take you to the promised land. So yeah, Mark Davis still has a lot to learn. He needs to go back to school and dump his shitty ass haircuts. And he looks like a little kid that was promised he was going to go to McDonald's if he was a good boy in school. And some days he even looks like he shit his fucking pants. I don't know. I'm just on a roll about Mark fucking Davis tonight.
You are on a roll. Paul Spencer says, hell, the WNBA Aces win the championship.
Yeah. So, yeah. How about that? I mean, nothing against them. And I enjoyed watching their playoff run, but I never thought that the WNBA team would be the first team here to win a professional championship. And now, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from them, but yeah, I mean, it's just really been disappointing with the Raiders. And then today's game was just absolutely atrocious.
Before we move on to today's game, I'm going to play that video real quick. I have a video of Devontae Adams' touchdown catch from last week against the 49ers.
Stidham floats it. Back corner for Adams. He pulls it in and gets his feet in. Touchdown, Las Vegas.
That ball in the bucket in the back corner and just letting and that's the best corner for San Francisco. Jarrett Stidham taking a shot at the end zone, and that's exactly what you need with a conservative throw, back end line. I mean, Mike P, that's a touchdown all the way, no doubt, right?
Yeah, I would have to agree. To me, he drags that second toe. You see a little bit of that turf stuff come on.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful that was.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a great acquisition in the off season. I was excited when they brought him in here. I thought him and Derek Carr were going to do some great things, and I thought that Derek Carr was going to be here, at least throughout the time of his contract. But the way things are looking now, it's sounding more and more, that the Raiders are going to try to put together some kind of a trade for him. So I don't think he'll be a Raider past February 15th. In fact, they might even try and do something. They might even try and do something before the Super Bowl to, unload him.
I read a report that it said expect right after the Super Bowl. Expect that trade to happen really fast. So I'm sure they're working on stuff now. I don't know what or whatever. But I mean, yeah, I don't. Then again, I didn't think Jimmy Garoppolo was coming back to San Francisco. I mean, he looked like he was pretty much gone. So, I mean, I know Derek and the Raiders have a deadline to where he gets that roster bonus if he's still on the roster. But they could negotiate to push that back some. But I mean, why would you? If I'm him, why would I want to negotiate? You benched me.
Right. Yeah. They pretty much sandbagged him at this point. So, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to be like a total asshole about the whole situation. Especially since the guy dedicated his career to the Raiders, and he even went on record publicly saying he didn't want to play anywhere else. So, could he, and I know we mentioned this on last week's show, but there could also be a possibility, where he may even retire. But did you see his brother David come out on NFL Network? And I didn't see the whole interview, so I'm going to be honest with you about that up front. I'm not sure exactly what he said verbatim, but I believe from what I understood about the interview that David had said that he is going to be looking at different trade options. So it sounds like he is still looking to play next year. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. That is verbatim. He said that Derek's going to play. He's not going to retire. He said, in his opinion, Derek didn't change. The Raiders changed. So that gives Derek the freedom to change his mind about retiring if he's not a Raider. I wouldn't expect Derek to retire. I mean, like you say stuff, rah team type stuff. I wouldn't expect Derek Carr to retire if the Raiders traded him or if he wasn't going to be a Raider anymore. I think that's just ridiculous. That's something you say to show loyalty to a team, which I'll tell you what, he's been super loyal. He's always recruiting players, a model teammate, stand-up guy. Always seems like he's been a hell of a captain and stuff like that. Sean Kilrain checking in. What's up, fellas? You guys see a fire sale with the team trading some of their star players to rebuild the team? No, I don't see that. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Well, that's what the defense looks like right now, Kenny. A big pile of doo-doo.
It does, but they're going to have to do something. They're they don't have too many stars on the team to begin with. I mean, they do, but they don't. Like Renfro, Waller, Devontae, Mad Max, and Derek Carr was about it. I could, obviously we're going to look to trade Derek, but like a possibility maybe of Renfro or Waller. I could see maybe something going on there, but not both of them, but maybe one of them. I thought Renfro played excellent today against the Chiefs. He had some really big catches, some terrific runs, and that's why you need Renfro there. If it's me, I look possibly to trade in Waller, see what I can get for Waller. If you can get a first round or a second round for him, or another player, that might be worth it. I just don't see what you get for Renfro that'd be worth trading him away. I think he's more valuable with the team than not with the team. But that they need to do something because they have a lot of pieces they're going to have to turn over. They're at the flip.
Yeah, I could see them doing something. I could see him doing something with Waller as well. Because of the fact that we have, Foster Moreau. I think he could be a very, suitable tight end for us. So I could see them doing something. I could see him doing something with Waller, but not Renfro too. Like you said, not both of them, but Waller. And then I don't see them doing too much else in terms of changing, our players offensively. Maybe add a piece or two to the offensive line, and then of course defensively, we're a train wreck. So that's kind of where I see them going, from here.
Adam Glenn checking in. What's up, Adam? Carr to the Jets, Jimmy G to the Raiders. Jimmy G is not coming to the Raiders, Adam. Get that shit out of your mouth. No, Jimmy G is not coming to the Raiders. Not doing it.
I could see Carr going to the Jets. That's something I could realistically see. But I don't think that Jimmy G is. I don't think he's on that. I don't think he's on another level than Carr. I think they're about the same.
Well, and the thing with Jimmy G is he's very injury prone. And with our offensive line, the man wouldn't make it out of 3 games. Sean Kilrain says, question, is John Ritchie, a.k.a. Ken Fry, doing the podcast tonight? I love John Ritchie. I'll tell you what, he was one of my favorite Raiders. I did shoot him a DM on the old Twitter machine a while ago to see if he'd come on to our podcast. He never answered me. I think he might have called the FBI or something on me. I don't know. But I think I'm going to reach out to him again. He's from Pennsylvania. He does Eagle stuff, but, Mr. Raider there. Used to love when he get his head busted open.
And he did play for the Eagles too. And I'll be very honest. He's one of my favorite. He's one of my all-time favorite players. I love John Ritchie too, and he actually is doing some radio now for 94 WIP out of Philadelphia. So he's probably consumed. He's probably so consumed with that he probably wouldn't want to come on our podcast. But that would be awesome if we could get him on. I'd love to sit and talk to a guy like him. And apparently he's quite the musician too, from what I understand. He likes to rock and roll.
There we go. That's my kind of guy. Paul says, got to keep Adams and Jacobs for whoever the quarterback is going to be. Yeah, and that's going to be huge to see what we do with Jacobs. Adams says he wants to be here. He wants to stay a Raider. He always wanted to be a Raider, whether Derek's there or not. He just wants some input on he wants to be kept in the loop as to who the quarterback's going to be. Sean says, you guys see Lamar Jackson coming to you via trade since contract talks and negotiations went stale. I mean, that's one way to go. I don't know what he has left underneath his contract with the Ravens. If he's a free agent or not. Adam says, yes, he is, meaning Jimmy G. Jimmy G is not coming here. He'd get killed. I mean, Jimmy G's so brittle. You know what I mean? He'd get destroyed. He's like porcelain. Paul says, they part ways with Abdullah and Bolden and then try to sign Jacobs and finally give Zamir some touches. Not only Zamir White, but we also drafted another running back. What the hell's his name? He's on injury. He's on the injury report every week. What the hell's his name? I can't think of it right now. I just seen it when I was looking at the injury report before the game. But yeah, we drafted 2 running backs, and one was on the goddamn injury report every week. Sean says, call the morning show on 94 WIAP, like Rob said. Yeah, there we go. We should call the show. Say, hey, John Ritchie, come on out of the box sports, Las Vegas sports scene, talk some Raiders. And then Adam says, you have to pay Jacobs. I agree with Adam. Jacobs had an insane season. Finishes up after today's game with 1,653 yards, 12 touchdowns, 53 catches for 400 yards. So, yeah, Jacobs, he earned a contract. It's just what can we afford to give him?
Right. Yeah.
And still upgrade our team.
Yeah, he definitely did earn the contract. I mean, he played some terrific ball this year, and it's just a matter of how far the Raiders are willing to go. to re-sign him. But I like the idea of having Jacobs and Zamir White there. Definitely. So we'll see as we'll see as the offseason here progresses what they're what they're going to do. But it's going to be a very attractive market for Jacobs.
It is, and he's gonna get some money thrown his way. It's just it's gonna be his choice. And I know I read it somewhere. I don't remember what the exact quote was, but he said that he has enough money. He wants to be a Raider, but then we went ahead and shit the bed, a couple weeks in a row. So I mean, did he change his mind? It's going to be interesting. See what happens this offseason coming up. Because not right, as of right now, he's a free agent.
And like I said on last week's show, yeah, he states that he has enough money. He also states that he wants to be a Raider, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, he also I think is going to want to be in a situation where he's going to be able to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and like I said, that we have some really nice pieces. It's just we're missing the corner pieces of the puzzle here. We're missing, some major pieces, some important pieces. We're trying to figure out what the hell is this piece, what the hell is this piece. We're trying to jam them together. It's not working, and we need, like I said, we need to blow up that second, especially the secondary, and then go to the offensive line. Because if we're able to get a quarterback, that's mobile. Like that. That's why I have a hard time seeing Tom Brady come to the Raiders. He's not a mobile quarterback. He never was.
Well, and not only that, there's the there's the age factor. He's what now, 46?
45, 46, somewhere in that range. Yeah.
Now, I was as I was watching the Raiders game today, Celeste had said to me, she said, do you think that Tom Brady, could legitimately come here, or is that another publicity stunt? And I said, the only way that I could see it being practical is they would bring him in. They'd bring him in for a year, maybe to mentor Stidham and Chase Grabbers. But here's the thing with that, Ken. Is Tom Brady really the mentoring type? I don't necessarily see him as a guy that's going to come into a situation and mentor a young quarterback or mentor a young quarterback room.
It's interesting because in New England, he's had so many young quarterbacks after, like while he was there, like Stidham, Garoppolo. That kid from Arkansas that liked the cocaine. I can't think of his name. But yeah, he always the Patriots would draft a young quarterback, but eventually they'd move on from them to the point where eventually Tom moved on from the Patriots. But if Tom did come, it'd only be a year. I couldn't see it past the year. If he survived the year, I couldn't see it past that. So he wouldn't really be mentoring. It'd be kind of just like sit back and watch kind of thing, and learn what you can from a distance.
Right.
It's because you're not going to learn anything sitting on the sidelines from that retard's throwing iPads and then having a hissy fit because his offensive line got him sacked for the 100th time, which is what our offensive line would do.
Well,
because he can't move.
And that's true. I wonder what Mark Davis what the iPad budget would be. How many iPads Tom Brady would break, coming into a situation like this.
And that probably would eat into the haircut fund. So yeah. So I don't know if that's not feasible right now. But it's going to have to be a mobile quarterback, definitely. And I think it's going to have to be through the draft. My thought is as of right now, my thought today is I expect Jarrett Stidham back again next year. I expect him to be the starter, but I expect us to draft a quarterback, maybe not the first round, maybe second round, third round, but somebody that's going to be extremely mobile. The only outside move I could see us making is a trade for like Aaron Rodgers, because he was so unhappy there last year. He was very unhappy earlier this season. They're on a roll right now, so he's content. But the dude is such a diva. He's so fickle. I think it's just changed with him all the time. And I to be honest with you, I think he's looking for a change of scenery. You know, excited. I think he realizes he only has a couple years left. You know, I would say around 3 years left of Rodgers, and I think he's going to be gone.
It broke today. He has another new girlfriend. Apparently he's dating the daughter of the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, hey, he's dating into money. There we go.
Yeah. And you know what? She's not a bad looking lady either.
Adam Glenn says Brady should retire. Paul Spencer says, I don't think it's about money with Jacobs. He was homeless at times in high school until he moved to live with another relative. He's humble. Absolutely. And I heard that story today when I was watching the game, when between yelling and cursing and then falling asleep. I didn't know he was homeless when he was younger. They said his dad earlier in the week actually was sick and had to go for heart surgery. They weren't sure he was going to play, but yeah, it seemed like he had a rough upbringing, and he understands the benefit of a dollar or a few million. So, but he's going to get paid, and hopefully it's with us. And he doesn't seem like the greedy type. I think he seems loyal, but we'll have to wait and see.
Right, and I can agree. I can agree with that, because I did read the story about him, taking time away from his week, to be there with his father, and he was very, very concerned, about his situation from what I read and from what I heard, about it. But still in all, I know that you guys don't think it's about money with him, and I have to agree on the money aspect of it. But I still think he wants to be in a situation where he wants to win a Super Bowl. And teams out there that are looking for a running back this offseason are a little bit better of a situation for him to maybe go and win a Super Bowl. Like let's say a Philadelphia or a Buffalo, or somewhere that's a little further along, and can maybe get him his ring. I don't necessarily believe it's all about money either, but I think everybody in the NFL that's playing in the NFL, they've got one other thing in mind outside of money, and I think that's a championship, honestly.
Paul says the problem with backups don't get regular season playing time behind Brady, only preseason games for them. He's not a teacher, and that's why I think if it would be Brady, it'd only be a one season thing. The dude is ready to check out and enter AARP. And with the Jacobs thing, typically running backs, they get that one big paycheck, that one big contract, the good running backs do. Then after that, they're kind of mumbling around because they're pretty much used up. So is it one of those things where are signs with for the Raiders with a 5-year deal, but can opt out after 3 years, type of thing? And if he's still if the wheels are still good, if the wheels still have some tread on him, maybe that's when he goes championship chasing. If the Raiders are far away, still, which I'm telling you what, Rob, if the Raiders are still far away in 3 years, I'm gonna snap.
I could see that, Ken, and that's not gonna be pretty, and I'll be right there with you.
Well, the eye will be twitching, and I'll be mad dogging. But yeah. So, but the Chiefs game today, it was lackluster. I mean, it looked like a lot of guys were going through the motion. Alex Bars, our guard, who I thought played well most of the season, came back off an injury. He was out the last couple games, and the dude just got eaten up. He got destroyed. We gave up 6 sacks and 14 quarterback hits today. Our offensive line was dog shit. It was, I would say, 60 to 70% of it was him. I mean, he was just getting like it was his first time he ever played football. It was really, really bad.
Yeah. Well, I was like you. I was hollering, screaming, cursing, and I even honestly I dozed off for a little while as well.
Well, and I had some mumbling going on there, and the hands going, and the wife's like, "What's wrong?"
I already told Celeste. I'm like, go run your errands, go do the grocery shopping. I said because this game is going to be a fuck show.
And it absolutely was. We played the 49ers last week, the actual number one defense, and we smoked them. This week we played the Chiefs and made them look like the number one defense. They're not the number one defense.
Yeah.
And it's just, like a lot of guys checked it in. If you guys didn't see that, strip sack return for a touchdown by Jags, now up 20-16 versus Titans with 2:40 left. So it's gonna be neat to see the Jags in the playoffs if they can close this one out. But
good old Dougie P.
But still plenty of time to go in that yet.
Yeah.
So it's just Jacobs. We couldn't get him going. Stidham had a couple nice runs. He's actually our leading rusher. What do I have him down for? Seven carries for 50 yards for Stidham. JJ had 17 carries for 45. Devontae 5 catches, 73. Like I said, Hunter Renfrow had a really good game and kind of shows you why he's so important. That underneath game of his is so important. He's super squirrely, can make a lot of things happen. And then Darren Waller had 2 catches for 35 yards. And Devontae had that one drop in the end zone, which we seen him make a play like that a million times early in the game. Do you remember seeing that, Rob? I think it was our first drive, maybe, or where Stidham threw into double coverage in the end zone. Devontae went up for it. It was in his hands. He just dropped it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we seen him make that play so many times. It's a shame.
I yelled so loud on that play. I scared the poor cat.
Still hiding under the bed somewhere.
The cat's looking at me. The female cat, because we've got Mr. October and then we've got Augustina. She's the female, and she's giving me like this WTF look. Like what is with you?
He's doing it again. He's going nuts again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
She's probably thinking, "Oh my God, I can't wait till football season's over."
Well, it's pretty much you got the Eagles to go for to root for yet. So
yeah, and then of course there's the Golden Knights. So it doesn't stop with me. Like I transition from one into the next. It's just a never ending cycle with the sports.
Then you'll have the Vegas Vipers, the XFL team to root for too.
The XFL.
Patty Mahomes, he looked good. They ran the ball all over us today. I don't have numbers written down, but they had like three or four guys that were just all over our ass running the ball. They were very creative plays. I've always loved Andy Reid as a coach. Even when he was in Philly, and everybody hated him because he took them to 3 NFC championship games. I mean, Philly fans, they drive me nuts with shit like that. I'd kill for an AFC championship game right now. Kill.
Yeah, I was one of those fans where I got a little disgusted with Andy, but overall, he is the all-time winningest coach in Philadelphia Eagles history. I mean, he's done a lot of great things, and even though the Chiefs are a division rival, I still have a tremendous amount of respect for Andy Reid, and I would even go as far as saying this. I would say he's arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL right now.
Oh, absolutely. That's hands down. That's a factual statement by you, Robert. Did you see that little huddle gimmick that they ran, where they ran in a circle and made us look like a bunch of jerk offs?
Yeah, I was like, what? I was like, what is this?
And I'll tell you what. As much as it pissed me off, I'm like, you know what? That's pretty cool. You don't see nothing like that. Like it's usually like so like I don't want to say football stale, but usually it's like very stuffy, like by the book type of stuff. But Andy Reid's always been creative, always been fun to watch his offenses and stuff like that. And for them to go out there and do that, it pissed me off because they're making a dick out of us. But it was still neat to see. And then they get the touchdown on it, but it gets called back for a hold that wasn't a hold. I don't know what the hell the referee was calling. The dude never even grabbed the defender. It was a push on the shoulder. As they called that a hold. Like, holy shit, man! They got ripped off.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything else to add on this game?
I don't think so. Just Devontae finishes with 100 catches for the season, 1,500, 16 yards, 14 touchdowns. Like I said earlier, Josh Jacobs finished 340 carries for 1,653 yards with 12 touchdowns, 53 catches for 400 yards. And Mad Max finishes with 11.5 sacks. He had a sack today. Had a couple, big penalties. The one penalty in the end zone for roughing the passer because he kind of swatted down on Patty Mahomes' head. But other than that, it was such a lackluster effort that it pissed me off seeing all those Chiefs fans in there. It was just as loud for us when we were on offense as it was for the Chiefs on offense. We need to get that shit figured out next season.
Yeah, I guess a lot of Raiders fans, sold their tickets, and I'm curious too to find out like how like what portion of these Raiders tickets have been bought up by the corporations. And what I mean by the corporations, the like big hotels and stuff,
Yeah.
If they're, bringing these fans into the casino, and giving them Raiders tickets as an incentive. Oh, you're from Kansas City, or you're from here, or you're from there. Because I honestly, I tried to get Raiders season tickets. And for me to buy decent seats, I would have had to buy an SBL or a personal seat license, whatever they call that. And then there was the price of the tickets, themselves. So till I would have gotten done, I could have basically put a down payment on another house.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't have to be a whole money grab like that. And that's one of the things that Davis saying he was embarrassed and disappointed that the Raider fans not showing up and stuff like that, and letting the other teams invade our stadium. But you know what? What the hell do you expect with the ticket prices for that place? You know what I mean? Like, it's
right.
I hear other fans that actually live in out that area that actually go to the games talk about the ticket prices, like for nosebleed, like for a ticket or for two tickets, like $900. That's a joke, man.
Yeah. I forget what it was last year. Last year when the Eagles came to town, because I was planning on going to that game, and I was actually going to fly my grandfather out because he had never been to an Eagles road game, but they won it. I think for like 3 tickets, 4 tickets in the nosebleed section, they won it like $300 plus a ticket.
That's insane.
Yeah. I wasn't doing it, and I had a really bad experience with the Raiders ticket office here when I was on the list for season tickets. The guy pretty much told me, well, if you're not in now, you'll never be in. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay. We'll see if the Raiders start tanking. What are you going to do to fill the stadium?
Well, they found out. They gave it to the winning teams that are coming in. So
yeah.
So
yeah. And then Mark Davis is going to sit there and scratch his fucking head and go, why I don't know why they're not coming to the games. What's going on here?
I don't know. So what do you think's next for Derek Carr? Where do you see Derek Carr ending up?
That's a good question. I've looked at possibilities for him, and I'll kind of start at my last option and work my way down. My number 5 choice actually would be the New Orleans Saints, because they haven't found a permanent quarterback, to replace Drew Brees. They've been plug and play, with so many different players, and it just hasn't worked out for them. I mean, and even with any team in the NFC South, if I were any general manager in that division, I would be calling, wanting to know if Derek Carr would be interested in playing for either of the teams in the division. So New Orleans could be an option for him, a likely option. I have my number 4 at the Miami Dolphins, and the reason I say the Miami Dolphins is because of Tua and his concussion situation. He could be one hit away from not being able to play anymore, and then Miami's going to need a quarterback. So that's a logical that would be a logical situation for him too. Number 3, the Indianapolis Colts. They haven't found a quarterback since Andrew Luck suddenly retired out of the blue. Tried to bring in Carson Wentz. That didn't work. Brought in Matty Ice. That's a disaster. Now they've got Nick Foles. Do you really think Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback in the future? For the Colts?
No, probably not.
So I mean, they have had quite the carousel going on there in Indianapolis. They brought in. I even forgot about Phillip Rivers.
And he played well there too. Phillip Rivers did. He played pretty good. He wasn't Phillip Rivers from the San Diego Chargers, Phillip Rivers, but he played really, really well. And I think if he would have played another season, I think that the Colts would have had a decent playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I agree. Phillip Rivers in Indianapolis wasn't all that bad. It's a shame he couldn't have did more. When he was there, with them for sure. And then I have number 2, the New York Giants. Being an option, because I'm not convinced that they're sold on Daniel Jones being the quarterback of the future.
I'll agree with that.
I could see him going. I could see him going to the Giants. Because I think the Giants have shown some light, but then too with New York, they have a big question. As to whether they're going to re-sign Saquon, Barkley. So that's going to be another situation, to watch. But I could see New York being the Giants being a logical situation. And then number 1 for me is, and some people might think this is a wild card, but number 1, the Washington Commanders, because they need a quarterback, and they have some offensive weapons, and their defense has played pretty well this year too. Within like the within like the top 10, maybe top 15 in the league. So, that could also be an option for him as well.
Yeah, I heard the Commanders a couple times from a couple different people. So my thoughts on it is I can't see him going anywhere cold weather related. Paul says Jags hold on. And then he says, imagine wherever Sean Payton ends up, Carr under his system. He revived Drew Brees. There were reports today that the Broncos asked for permission to talk to Sean Payton. And I thought I heard the Saints agreed, but not until January 17th. So we'll see what happens there. But my thoughts are either it's going to be a dome team or a warm weather team. And case being point, look how Derek looked at in the Steeler game where it was cold, it was windy. He played really, really bad. So if I'm like the Giants, the Jets, to a lesser extent the Commanders, I'm looking at that. I'm like, you know what? This guy looked like dog shit in Pittsburgh when it was cold, and I'm sure there's other games too that I'm not thinking of right now. Saying like he's not really a cold weather quarterback, which could be. Yeah, he doesn't play that many cold weather games, so that could be just way off base. There's a small sample size to it, but I could see Tampa Bay, I could see New Orleans, definitely New Orleans, Indianapolis, the Commanders, and if it was going to be a New York team, I was thinking probably the Jets. But besides that, and now like Paul says with Sean Payton. Can you imagine Derek Carr ending up in Denver? I mean, it'd have to be a trade. It would have to be a trade, and I would hope that Mark Davis would have enough sense not to trade Derek Carr to Denver.
You would hope.
You would hope
not. You would hate to see him. You would hate to see him go anywhere in our division.
Yeah. Anywhere in the AFC, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Keep him in the NFC. That's why I'm not thrilled about the Indianapolis or the New York Jets part of it. At least it's out of division. But try to keep him in the NFC side of things. Like I could honestly see him at Commanders. Like I said, Commanders. I could see the Buccaneers, Saints. Those are my top three where I could see him going. Like you said about the Commanders having weapons. They got a really good young running back right now. I'm not sure of his name. I did pick him up on my fantasy football team near the end there. I didn't play him at all, but I feel like his last name's Robinson, but I could be way off. It doesn't matter. But Terry McLaurin's still there and stuff like that. He's a really, really good wide receiver, and their defense has played well this season. Really well, and they're just a quarterback away basically in Washington.
Yeah, definitely. And I was trying to see here. Yeah, you are correct when you said Robinson, Brian Robinson, and then two, another element to the Commanders situation. Del Rio is there,
and that's one guy. I'm telling you what, that we did really dirty to get John Gruden. Del Rio was a winning coach with the Raiders. Had us on the right track. He and Reggie McKenzie, and we just blew it up just to get Gruden. As much as I love Chucky, I love John Gruden, especially the late '90s and early 2000s. John Gruden was much better than the latest edition. It's just a bummer that he had all that racist and homophobic stuff to say. But Del Rio had us on the right track. It seemed like we were getting better every season under Del Rio. And we did him dirty, and you know what? This could be karma biting us in the ass.
It very well could be, and yes, I do agree. I do agree with your sentiments with saying that he was done dirty as soon as they fired Del Rio. I stood in my living room here, and I said this means one thing, and that's Chucky's coming back.
Yeah, it had to be. That had to be the only thing. That's the only way you can get rid of him.
Yeah, the writing was on the wall, and now we had the Gruden stuff come out, that whole fiasco, and now we're in this we're in this mess. It's not absolutely horrible. You we're not in a situation where we're going to blow the whole team up, but we do have some work. We do have some work to do.
Absolutely, and it's a lot of work, and it's going to be some of it's going to be ugly, and not pleasant. But if we want to compete, it's what's going to have to happen.
And we're going to be here to cover the good, bad, and the ugly.
So do you think the Raiders re-sign Jacobs?
I think they have to do everything in their power in an effort to re-sign him. Like I have stated previously, and I've even said on previous shows, how far are they willing to go when a running back only has a couple years shelf life. And I would like to see more out of Zamir White, but I think they're going to do everything in their power to re-sign Jacobs.
Yeah, and like a previous comment, I think it was from Paul about Amir Abdullah and Brandon Bolden. I would drop them, even though Amir Abdullah I thought had a really good season, catching the ball out of the backfield and returning kickoffs. But I'd release those two. You have Zamir White and Britton Brown. Britton Brown, like I said, was on the injury list, it seems like, for most of the season, if not all the season. I don't know if he was injured or if he was a healthy scratch for depth chart reasons or whatever. And, maybe even looking, the old garbage heap and see if you can add a couple more names to that running back room besides that. But you have to do everything you can to re-sign Jacobs, in my opinion. Whatever it takes to get it done, get it done. If you have to backload the contract or whatever, make it all what the hell? Not bonus money. What the hell you call it? When you get a chunk of it. I feel like we're playing a $1,000 pyramid. You get a chunk of the money up front there. What is that? A bonus? No, not a bonus.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. No, not guaranteed. That's not the word I'm looking for.
No, I don't know. What are you gonna do? Make me go and pull out my my dictionary or thesaurus?
Paul says guaranteed also. Bonus. That's a signing bonus. That's what I'm trying to say. Signing bonus money, because that's a good way to save from the cap with signing bonus. Yeah, there it is, Paul. Thank you, Paul. With the signing bonus money, so even if you have to put it out, a lot of that money out there in signing bonus, do what you can to sign them. 3 to 5 years. That'll see where we're going and what direction we're heading then, and figure shit out in a couple years. So then next, Devontae Adams, your thoughts on him saying he wants to stay? He's not going anywhere.
I like that, because I was concerned. About him when the whole Carr situation went down, because it seemed like the one of the reasons why Devontae came to the Raiders was because of Derek Carr. It seemed like they were, seems like their BFF, that they were kind of, joined at the hip there. So I'm a little relieved with that. Him coming out and saying that he wants to stay a Raider, and that it wasn't all about Derek Carr, but like you had said, he's going to be wanting to be in the loop as to what's going on, and then having maybe some say as to what goes on, with the quarterback situation. Maybe he'll be given some input to that situation as well.
Yeah, and that, like you said, I was kind of relieved that he did come out and say, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be a Raider. I'm not just a Raider because of Derek Carr. He was one of the reasons why I am a Raider, but he's not the reason why he's a Raider. He wants to continue being a Raider. He always wanted to be a Raider. All the right stuff to say in the situation he's in, because he is under contract. So it's not like, well, I don't want to be here. You know what? You're here. Suck it up, Buttercup, and deal with it. So yeah, and they should keep him in a loop. He's the one. He's the superstar receiver. Catching all those balls. I'm not saying let the guy make the decisions. This isn't NBA basketball where you have a player just taking over a team and getting coaches fired and bringing in superstar players. But he should be kept in the loop. Hey, what are your thoughts on this guy? What are you thinking on this guy? And go from there. But yeah, I was excited to see that he was supportive and plans on staying in the old silver and black.
Now in terms of the quarterback position, I could see them having Stidham as the starter for one more year, and like you said, drafting a quarterback in the draft, and then using some of that money, that we're going to save on the Derek Carr deal, using some of that money to add some pieces to our offensive line, use that money to to address the issues that we have, on defense. So, maybe that's the direction they'll go, because, I think as long as Josh McDaniels is the coach here, he's going to give Stidham every opportunity he can for him to be a starter.
Yeah, I agree too. Because he was in New England when they drafted him in 2019, and he's been his coordinator ever since then. He's been his coach ever since then. So
yeah, I forget who the hell I was talking to about this the other day. But yeah, I mean, I think as long as he isn't totally shitting the bed and McDaniels is the coach, he'll be given every opportunity, to be the starter. He knows the system that McDaniels is trying to run, but at least with a guy like Derek Carr, you did have veteran leadership. You don't have a veteran behind Stidham. You've got Chase Grabbers, a rookie, and at this point, at this juncture, next season, he's going to have 1 year experience, under his belt. So, you don't have that veteran leadership at the quarterback, position. So that kind of concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, and I think Grabbers was drafted mainly for depth. I don't think he was ever drafted to be any kind of starter or whatever. I think it was more of a depth grab at the quarterback position. But yeah, it's so these guys are still shitting yellow, as the old folks say. Paul would know about that. He's pretty old, so that's a term that they use. Old, shitting yellow, or wet behind the ears. That's another old folks saying that Paul might be using around the old plum farm.
Around the retirement community.
Yeah, around in Del Boca Vista. But yeah. So it's and the one thing, if they do get a decent haul in for Carr, they could use like draft pick wise, they could use some draft picks to possibly trade for a quarterback. That's one thing. But they'll save money that could potentially be used for Josh Jacobs. And like I said, I said earlier in the show, I believe Stidham will be the quarterback next season, at least to start. I think we'll draft a quarterback, and you know how that goes. Usually you draft a quarterback if the quarterback incumbent is shit in the bed, as you said, then that guy will just slide into the shitty bed.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything else on the Raiders you want to add before we hop on to the old Vegas Golden Knights train where they're actually winning games and we don't have to talk about this nonsense?
Yeah, I don't have anything more to add on this shit show at this time. I mean, I'm sure that there's going to be things that'll come up, you know, and we'll certainly bring all that news to you, and you know, we'll give you all the news, all the possible scenarios, you know, light up that text board, you know, when we're on here, because we are always we're always open to reading every comment and, you know, getting a discussion going, you know, having people engaged. That's why Ken and I are doing this. So, you know, also too, you know, if you like what you're seeing, you know, hit those like and subscribe buttons, and, you know, spread the word. Tell your friends about us.
Yeah, as you can see, the ticker tape going across the bottom of the screen there is letting you know of the new shows that are coming up in the new year here. I believe that's the one I have rolling here. I should check before I open my fat mouth. Let me see here. Yeah, that's the one I have rolling. So watch that ticker tape at the bottom, and that lets you know of all the new shows that we have coming up. Paul Spencer says, do you draft a project quarterback, maybe a young Stroud, Hooker, Levi's, or is that Levis? I think that's Levis. Not a strong quarterback class. Stroud and Young go top 3, but the others mid 2 to 4th round. I agree 100% about Stroud and Young. They'll be gone way early. So if we do in order to get one of those quarterbacks, we'll have to trade up. And you know, without draft prospects, it ain't gonna. Without draft picks to trade up, it's not gonna happen because we have nothing else, you know, besides maybe a Darren Waller. But I don't know if I see him getting us getting a first round, an early first round pick for Darren Waller, especially with his you know, injury history and his other past discretions. I think that's the word. I don't know if that's the word or not. I don't give a shit.
Well, I don't even know if we would. I don't even know if we'd get a first round pick for him. I would think maybe even a second.
Yeah, I could see a second. I just don't see. I don't see us getting a first for Derek either. It's going to be tough. I mean, if we send him to the Cowboys like we did with Amari Cooper, and they gave us a first round pick for him, which was insane.
I don't want to be sending any more goddamn players to the goddamn Cowboys.
Well, they send them to Cleveland anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they go to Cleveland.
I mean, that's one of the kicks in the ass. To be serious for a second, Rob, about this Raider team is we had Amari Cooper on the roster. Granted, you know, didn't really pan out as a number 1 pick, but he was a decent receiver. And Khalil Mack, and we just gave him up. We just traded him away, and you know, we didn't really get anything in return. We traded away for first round picks, both these guys, and I can't even tell you who the hell we got for those picks. You know, because they're not on the team anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either, honestly.
So we'll move on to the Golden Knights before I get more depressed. And you know, Rob, the Golden Knights, you know who they're playing tonight, right?
Your LA Kings.
Do you know what the score is, Rob? I know what the score is. Do you know what the score is?
I have not looked at it. When I do a show, I pay attention to doing the show and our audience. I don't look at scores.
I don't have that. Our audience does not have my undivided attention. I'm divided everywhere. Right now the Kings are up 3-0 in the second period. It's early yet.
Yeah.
Second. There's 2 minutes to go in the second period.
Yeah. Well, I have noise canceling headphones on, so I can't hear anything besides your voice. Now,
like an angel.
If I had the headphones off, I would imagine I'd hear Celeste maybe screaming and cursing at the TV.
Well, she actually just did walk in the room behind you and left.
Yeah, so she
You didn't even flinch.
no.
So yeah, Paul says real quick before we get on to the Golden Knights, Cooper, we gave him away for a 5th round and a bag of stale peanuts to the old Cleveland Brownies. Yeah. Gave up a 1st rounder for him, and got a 5th back in return and some stale peanuts. So the Golden Knights. What do we got going on there, Rob?
Well, you just informed me they're losing to your Kings 3-0, but they had a hell of a game the other night against Pittsburgh.
5-2 victory against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I still think that the Pacific Division it's gonna come down to it's gonna be real close, I think, between the Golden Knights, the Kraken, and the Kings. I think we're all gonna kind of be right there.
I agree 100%. I was checking out the standings the other day when I was watching the Kings play, and they're all within a few points of each other. The Kings I think we're 4 behind the Golden Knights, and the Kraken were just 4 behind the Kings. So they're all within pissing distance. So I mean, it's gonna be like that for the rest of the season. But I could see some other teams creeping up possibly because Edmonton's so talented with Connor McDavid and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just they're so talented. So I could see them creeping up. So not, when you look at the points and how you get the points in bunches, they kind of creep up, and it's easy to go on a 3-game win streak. All of a sudden, you move up 3 or 4 spots in the standings. And like the Golden Knights, they're on a 2-game win streak coming into tonight's game after they beat the Avalanche 3-2 and they beat the Pens 5-2, and they jumped. I was listening to the Kings playing the Dallas Stars, I think, when the Golden Knights were playing against the Penguins, and they kept giving updates on the Golden Knights game, and they jumped all over Pittsburgh shit right away early on.
Yeah, they did. Well, I don't call them Schittsburg for nothing.
A lot of people call them Schittsburg, especially people that are Philly fans.
And I wanted to mention something that's not Golden Knights related, but I was reading the other day. They interviewed the Flyers coach John Tortorella, and they asked him about the NHL All-Star game, and he goes, "I don't give a shit about the All-Star game. I don't even watch it."
That he's awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there are some Philly people that can't stand Tortorella, but he fits that Philly mold.
Oh my God, yeah, that Philly moniker, that Philly persona.
He definitely does. I mean, a sports market like the Las Vegas market wouldn't have been able to handle a guy like him.
No, most small markets, media market type teams, areas, that's not a guy that they can handle. He destroy the media.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed with rookie goaltender Logan Thompson this year. I mean, he's been playing phenomenal. Mike Lauro says, "What's up, boys?"
Hey, Mike Lorio, how you doing? We'll read your comment on the air.
Yeah, Mike
Lorio.
Mike Lorio. hey, at least we get your name right there, bud.
Mike Lorio.
Anyway, you can check our boy Mike out on Thursdays at 5:00. He does his 4for4 Philly show right here on the Out of the Box Sports Network.
That's 8 p.m. Eastern, just in case anybody's wondering. 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, Vegas here. I get fucked up with the time and shit like that all the time. But
I got your back, brother.
But yeah, it's 8:00 Eastern. He does a real great job covering 4for4. Great guy too. Getting back to Logan.
Mike says this will be my new name, Mike Lorio.
Hey, people. I guess you could. I guess you could be called a lot worse.
Yeah, that there is a lot worse he could be called. But
But
yeah, Logan Thompson, go ahead, bud.
yeah, Logan Thompson. He's been playing tremendous this year. Like when Robin Leonard went down for the Golden Knights. We didn't really know what we had at goaltender, but I mean he's stepped up and he's been doing a phenomenal job. For this hockey team, and he is the first rookie to be named to the NHL All-Star game since 2016. The last rookie goaltender to be named to the All-Star game was John Gibson. He represented the Anaheim Mighty Ducks in 2016 in the in the yearly contest. So
Yeah,
I just wanted to take an opportunity here in the show, to congratulate him on his All-Star, selection. He's done a great job in the absence of Robin Leonard, and he's probably playing that good that Robin Leonard should maybe be concerned about his job.
bye, Robin Leonard. Bye.
Yeah, bye, Robin.
Yeah, get the resume ready, buddy.
Yeah, but
well, like even Logan Thompson, it's so important to have a really good backup goalie too. Aiden Hill, he's 9-3-1 with a 2.7 goals against, and you look at Logan Thompson's 8-9-1 with a 2.6 goals against. As a Kings fan, I'd kill for that because right now we've been struggling all year with goaltending.
Yeah,
up until recently, where we had Quick and Cal Peterson, and both of them are getting lit up. So that they DFA'd Cal Peterson, and they called up Phoenix Copley, and he took the bull by the nuts. Since he's been up, he's 9-2 with like a 2.7, 2.8 goals against. Where Jonathan Quick is still getting lit up like a Christmas tree. So yeah, to have two goalies there with sub-3 goals against, both really awesome winning records. The Golden Knights are sitting really, really pretty right now.
Yes, they are from the goaltender position. That's for sure. I like both of them, but when you have two good goaltenders like that, it's going to come down to the question of, are they going to be able to keep both of them?
Yeah. Them 215 boys checking in off the old Twitchy Twitch. Wow, love this network. You guys read comments, others don't. Wow, hands down the best podcast network. Greatest hosts. So guys, if you're watching the show, comment and we will read pretty much any comment that you put in there. We're kind of like Ron Burgundy. You put it in there, we'll post it, and then we'll read it, and then it doesn't make sense, we'll take it down. But yeah, you comment. We're gonna put it up there. We're gonna say your name. We're gonna read your comment. That's how we do it here Out of the Box Sports Network. It's our show, but it's also your show. The people watching, the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody is going to be heard on this network. We will read every single comment. We will acknowledge every single fan, and even if it's a post, something off topic, we will respond to every single post. So yeah, I mean, with the goaltender situation here, it's a real great situation. I know that the fans are loving this situation, especially Logan Thompson. He's becoming a real fan favorite here in town, and he's just done some phenomenal things. So I'm hoping that he is a Vegas Golden Knight, for many years to come. It was also announced this week that the Vegas Golden Knights will play in the Winter Classic in 2024 on New Year's Day. They're actually going to be traveling to Seattle to play the expansion team, Kraken, So that's going to be a good matchup because both teams are relatively new, and the Kraken, in their own right, have played some pretty damn good hockey this year for only being a very young team, in the league, first or second season in the league, and they're playing as well, as they are. The game is going to be at T-Mobile Park, where the Seattle Mariners play. The good old outdoor classic. Last time the Golden Knights played in the outdoor classic was 2021. They played the Colorado Avalanche and lost 3-2. That was out there at Lake Tahoe. I really wished I would have been able to go to that game, but they weren't letting any fans, at the game at that time. And I honestly would love to take that trip to Seattle to see that game, because I've always been fascinated by the outdoor games. But you know what? Seattle in January doesn't seem like a good proposition for me.
Yeah, you just never know what you're gonna get. Here we go. We got some comments here from the 3-year-old scholar. He's back. Yo, Mike.
Oh.
This is not Mike.
Yeah.
I love Big Mike. We all love Big Mike.
Yeah, we all love Big Mike.
GOAT status, Big Mike. Hey, GOAT. There we go. How about that, Big Mike? You're the greatest of all time, Big Mike.
All right. Yeah.
Statues will be built in Philadelphia. I always love the outdoor classics. The one in Fenway this year, I didn't watch the game at all, but I did see some clips of it, and I did see that the Bruins took a picture. They're all wearing the old school Red Sox uniforms.
Yeah, I saw.
Fenway Park. I thought that was pretty rad.
I saw that. That was very cool. And I do have another quick Winter Classic story. In 2012, I actually did have an opportunity to go to the Winter Classic when the Flyers played the Rangers in Citizens Bank Park, and I passed up on the opportunity to go, and it's been one of my biggest sports regrets ever since. So if I do get an opportunity to ever go to one again, I'm definitely going to partake in that.
Yeah, you can't let opportunities like that slip you pass you by, because you just never know when you'll get another chance at going.
Okay.
Real quick, we have a couple comments I want to get through here. Out of the Box Sports Network. Reminder: Fight Club 215 will have our very own hometown fighter, Trigger Trayshawn Wiggins, on live as he prepares to defend his welterweight NABA United States belt and break the WBA top 10 in the world on January 21st pay-per-view. And there it is again. And one more time. How about that? But yeah, it's like what I say about missed opportunities. This is kind of off sports, but it's out of the box, so that's what we do. Years ago, I had a chance to go see Rage Against the Machine when I was 15 years old, maybe 16, 17. I had a chance to go see Wu-Tang Clan and Rage Against the Machine, but the girl I was dating at the time said that we had plans, and I did not go see them. It was a free ticket, and we broke up like a month later. So I kick myself in the ass every time, knowing that Rage Against the Machine doesn't really tour anymore. They don't put out new material. They do tour. Usually it's big West Coast cities or big festivals somewhere that's nowhere in the area for me to go to. So that always haunts me as one of the things I kick myself in the ass. Myself in the ass for not doing was going to see Rage Against the Machine when I was a teenager.
Well, I've got one for you too. Regarding that, I had tickets in 2007 to see Penn State play Notre Dame in State College.
Whoa.
My best buddy in college was getting married that day, and I had committed to going to his wedding.
Man,
So I passed up the Penn State Notre Dame tickets out of loyalty. Here's the ass kicker. Me and this guy haven't talked in 14 years.
How was the game? Was it a good game? Do you remember the game?
It was a good game, and it kind of sucked because he had family that had tickets to the game too, and I think people in her family had tickets to the game too, and they got married. They got married at like a fire company or a fire hall, some kind of place like that. And there was a TV there, and we were trying to get the TV on, and they wouldn't let us put the TV on.
That's a bullshit right there, man.
So here we are in this fire hall on the old school cell phones, the flip phone.
The flip phone.
And you're using the flip phone on the old school fucking internet, trying to get the goddamn score, and you got all these guys huddled around my phone wanting to know what the score was. and they're like, we're about to cut the cake. We're about to cut the cake. And we're all just like, all right, yeah, cut your cake.
Mazel tov.
Yeah. Geez. Yeah. So I said to Celeste, when we get married, our wedding cannot be on a major sports day. We have to look at sports schedules and determine a day that's going to be good where there's not a whole lot going on in sports.
Well, and you have to tell her also she can't get married on a Saturday because we got a show to do.
That's true.
You got commitments, Robert.
I do.
All right. Do you have anything else on the Golden Knights?
I did have something. I did have something for you. I told you about
trivia.
Told you about this prior to the show. Now let me ask you before we get into this. Because I don't know if you've told me before. I know you said you've been a Kings fan and then you didn't watch for a while, but around what time did you become a Kings fan? Like an approximate year?
Probably early 90s, like 92, maybe
Okay.
somewhere around there, 90, 92.
Okay, so actually one of there was an outdoor game played here in Las Vegas before the Golden Knights got here. Actually, on September 27th, 1991, the LA Kings and the New York Rangers came to town to play an exhibition hockey game. Okay. They actually played the hockey game. They converted a parking lot at Caesar's Palace into an ice rink. Okay. They set up temporary seating, constructed, the rink, the temporary seating, all this stuff at a cost of $135,000, and there were a little over 13,000 people in the stands that day for the game. Now, I'll ask you this: take a guess as to what the temperature was that day.
Now it's funny you say this because one of the comments we just got was Paul Spencer said, "How the hell with that 2,000 degree weather out there?" And that was my first thought, Rob. Like, how in the hell would they play roller hockey?
Well,
or so
when I saw this too, I was curious about this, and I was curious with you being a Kings fan if you knew that this event had taken place.
Now, I do remember hearing about it, the event taking place. I know I've seen it somewhere, like in a news story or whatever. I've heard of it. The temperature for it in September in Las Vegas had to be in the 90s. I would guess.
Okay, so
That's still summertime in
yeah,
September.
so the temperature at puck drop was approximately 85 degrees, and the temperature went as high as 95 degrees that day.
A puck drop in the puddle. That's what they're playing on, a freaking
Right.
puddle.
Right. You know what? I would love to. And I'm going to look into this a little more, because I'm very intrigued by this. I'm going to see if I can find somebody who lived here during that time period, and if I could find somebody that was either at the game or saw the game in one way, shape, or form to come on the show here and talk about it, because for you to play a hockey game in that kind of weather, it just doesn't seem feasible to do something like that.
Well, with the heat, you think there'd be a buttload of steam and stuff like that. You think they won't be able to keep the ice firm? Like there's so many things that I could just think that, that like the puck would be just you hit a slap shot, it wouldn't go anywhere because it's stuck in a pile of slush.
Right. So it actually started because the a big executive at Caesars at the time, he was a big Rangers fan, and was really dedicated to bringing this event here to the city, and then of course they brought the LA Kings in, because New York, LA, back in those days when it came to hockey, that they were good teams. They were big markets. It was an East versus West matchup, and the Rangers started the game off well with goals by Tony Armani and Doug Wright for a 2-0 lead at the end of the first period. In the second period, the Kings, came back with goals by Tony Garano and Brian Benning to take a 3-2 lead at the end of the second period, and then the Kings added 2 more goals in the third period by Jahari Kari and Wayne Gretzky to take a 5-2 win to win the game. So that was actually the first outdoor NHL game that was played, I think. And would it be in here in Las Vegas? Not a lot of people know that unless you lived here during that time, or you talk to somebody who has lived here. And then when somebody told me, I looked at him like, you have to be crazy. Are you smoking something? You eating some edibles again? Eating some edibles, or what's going on? And they said, look it up. And I did, and I thought, what, this would be something interesting, to bring on the show. It is sports related, so I thought it was a fun thing to share, and I wanted to kind of test your Kings knowledge a little bit.
Yeah, I like I said, I heard of it, but I never thought twice about it, really, to be honest with you. Like the heat and temperature of Las Vegas, and what year was that?
1991.
All right, so the Rangers, I don't think they had Mark Messier yet. I was just looking it up, and Messier didn't sign with the Rangers until 91, so it was probably after. I don't know. It could have been Messier could have been there, but that was he and Wayne Gretzky and Jari Kurri, they were all teammates on with the Edmonton Oilers when they had those awesome teams in the 80s and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's I had
and I love Paul Spencer's comment. down here. I feel you. In 1994, I was gifted 2 tickets for the Cotton Bowl. Now Notre Dame versus Texas A&M. But stupid me, I got married on that date, and I almost didn't get married. Well, Paul,
She would have understood.
I love you, brother. And judging by your first marriage, I think I would have went to the game. I think I would have went to the game. You probably would have been better off.
Now, Katie's a saint for putting up with that man.
Well, hey, Celeste is a saint for putting up with me. Jesus Christ, I don't know how she does it.
Well, there's a couple times I've seen her come in the back with a hatchet. She thought about burying it in the back of your skull, but she decided, no, we're still on camera, so she left.
Oh, it wasn't the cast iron frying pan?
No, she was straight up hatchet, man. She straight up hatchet. She was looking to end it.
Yeah. She wouldn't do that. She's a sweetheart, Kenny. She's a kitten.
Kitten got claws, baby.
Oh yeah, they certainly do. But we'll move on to our last and final topic. XFL Las Vegas, Vipers find home. It was announced this week that they are going to be playing at the old Cashman Field near downtown Las Vegas. They're going to have seating for 10,000 people. They'll have concession areas, and they will have tailgating. For people who wish to tailgate. So I will be looking. I will be looking. To go to a couple of XFL games and just kind of check the atmosphere out and see what it's all about. And we'll be getting into more XFL and Lady Aces here as their perspective seasons go on.
Yeah, real quick, Paul Spencer checks in. He says, "Hey Rob, Out of the Box Sports doesn't cover murder deaths from a loved one, so that's not covered by our insurance here at Out of the Box Sports. Sorry, Rob."
Oh wait a minute. There's insurance too.
Didn't you opt in this year?
I haven't gotten anything from HR, man. HR is slacking.
Well, yeah, they're a little slow in HR. But yeah,
did Paul hire somebody from the old folks' home to be his HR person?
Ethel in the next room over. Ethel.
Yeah, Ethel.
So yeah, I read that the Cashman Stadium is also being used by Cashman Field is also being used by a soccer team, not a major league soccer team, but I guess maybe a minor or a smaller soccer league. So they'll be sharing it with that. I guess they had to go through negotiations with that owner. But I also wrote down their schedule there. I'll run it off real quick for you, Rob. Week 1, they're at Arlington Renegades. 2, their first home game against the DC Defenders. 3, they're home against the Seattle Sea Dragons. 4 at DC. 5 back home against the Orlando Guardians. 6 against the St. Louis Battle Hawks. That's Battle Hawks, not Battle Cocks, Battle Hawks. Then 7, they're at home. Their last home game of the season against the San Antonio Brahmas. Of course, you have the Rock in the XFL. You have to have a Brahma in there. Is the tattoo of the Brahma bull on his arm. 8 at St. Louis, the Battle Hawks. Number 9, week 9 at Houston, and week 10 at Seattle. So that's the rundown of their whole 10-week schedule there. Then they hit playoffs, and I guess they wrap the season up. I think May 13th. I read for the championship game.
Well, it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm excited to watch it. You also have the other league. What the hell's that? It's not is it the USFL?
USFL.
Yeah, that'll be starting up as soon as the Super Bowl's over.
And they're really advertising the hell out of that on TV. I've been seeing a lot of advertisements for that.
Yeah, year 2. We keep it year 2. Paul says, well, what do you expect when HR department, the CEO are both over the hill? I heard he has a betting issue, so there goes the money. I heard he hits a lot though, so I don't know. We're waiting for him to hit the big one so we can cash all these checks we have stacking up.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need those checks. We're struggling.
All right, I'm gonna play our show video here real quick. Let me get all this crap off the screen because usually I forget, and then I halfway through our show and sponsor video I remember, and it's too late. Here we go. You ready, Rob?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Awesome. Great job.
All right.
I've seen a picture of Trigger Trayshawn Wiggins. Before we head off, I want to bring that comment back up to remind everybody. I'll read it again. Reminder, Fight Club 215 will have our very own hometown fighter, Trigger Trayshawn Wiggins, on live as he prepares to defend his welterweight NABA United States belt and break the WBA top 10 in the world on January 21st on pay-per-view. So coming up, check it out and make sure you stay tuned for any updates on it, and we'll pass along any information that we know.
I'm definitely looking forward to watching that fight for sure.
Yep, and he'll be on live, so we'll get his thoughts on it and all that good stuff, all that fantastic stuff. Paul and Joey did a hell of a job interviewing Trayshawn last time, so I expect some good stuff there.
Absolutely. Well, that's it for this week, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yep, just win, baby.
Just win, baby. Go Knights, go.